Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Asia Civil Society Experience Summit 2014. My name is Michael Eddy, and I represent the U.S. Agency for International Development's Regional Mission for Asia, based here in Bangkok. We are one of 5 hosting organizations for the summit that include the United Nations Development Program, the Asia Foundation, and our USAID missions in Indonesia and the Philippines. The summit will be led by and is intended for Asia's civil society leaders. It's for you to share your experience, learn from your peers, and determine how Asia's civil society can best support the situation for civil society here in Asia. We will also want to learn from you how the international community and donors can improve the way that we do our business. How can we be more effective in support of civil society here in Asia and throughout the world? This includes using social media to help strengthen the reach and effectiveness of advocacy and communications campaigns. And with that, I turn over to my colleague from the MTV Exit Foundation, Ms. Carly Dragone, one of our key civil society partners here in Asia.
Thank you so much for the introduction there, Michael Eddy. So I'm Carly Dragone, Digital Strategist for MTV Exit, and I'm going to talk you through today how to use social media effectively for advocacy. I'd just like to point out our hashtag for today, which is CSES Asia 2014. It would be great if you could get online and get on Twitter and engage with us using that hashtag as much as possible. So any questions or comments you may have, please just shoot us a tweet using that hashtag. So just as a brief introduction, for those of you who aren't familiar with MTV Exit, we are a campaign that aims to contribute to a reduction in human trafficking. So we do this by developing programs and activities that really catch the attention and interest of young people and get them excited to get involved in the fight against human trafficking in their own communities. Social media is a key part to this. And today we have over 2 million people actively engaged in our online communities. So to kick off today's Hangout, I'm just going to test you a little bit on your social media knowledge. So I want to see if you can answer this question. So again, go to Twitter and tweet your answers using the hashtag CSESAsia 2014. So guys, what is Thailand's most popular social networking site? Is it A, Facebook, B, Twitter, C, Instagram, or D, Google+? So what do you think? Hashtag CSESAsia 2014 with your answers. And we will reveal the answer shortly. Think about it. Think about, for those of you who are based in Thailand, which social networking site do you see people engaging with the most?
Some of the slides are a bit blurry, so just move out.
Okay, so I'll just repeat the question, just in case some of you are viewing this on a mobile device and can't see my slides. What is Thailand's most popular social networking site? Is it A, Facebook, B, Twitter, C, Instagram, or D, Google+? Okay, I'm sure you all got that question right. The answer is actually Facebook. Facebook actually have 24 million engaged users on their platform. Okay, so question 2. How many characters are there in a tweet? Is it A, 110, B, 120, C, 130, or D, 140? So how many characters are in a tweet? So tweet us your answers on Twitter using the hashtag CSESAsia. I actually have my colleague Adam here who's monitoring our Twitter channel. So Adam, what answers are we seeing coming through?
Right. As soon as I get some correct ones, I'll let you know.
Okay, so what are people saying? A? Do they think it's A?
Let's see. Tara Dermot says that it's C, Instagram. I'm afraid not, Tara. Better luck next time. That's all we have so far. I'll keep you updated.
Okay, no problem. So for the second question, how many characters are there in a tweet? The answer is D, 140. So well done to those of you who got that right. But that's a difficult question, so don't worry if you got it wrong. Okay, so people are always coming up to me and asking me, what is social media? Pretty much everyone I know has a personal social media account, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or on Google+. But people are still very confused about the concept of social media. And it's basically people reaching out and connecting with people. It's very simple. And every organization should be adopting this new modern form of interaction. So if you're not immersed in social media, this is why your organization should care. Social media is the #1 activity on the web. Everyone uses social media. The average person who uses social media per day the average amount of time that people use social media per day is 5 hours. This amount of time is historically spent watching television, but this has shifted a lot in the last 5 years. I know from my own perspective that I probably spend more than 5 hours on social media per day. And everyone's on social media. If Facebook was a country, it would be the 3rd biggest country in the world, which is quite significant. And if you think about why you use your mobile device, why did you buy that iPhone 5? It was because you wanted to engage with people. It's because you wanted to WhatsApp your friends. It's because you wanted to share things on your Facebook wall. It wasn't to make telephone calls. Does anyone do that anymore? I certainly don't. And social media is a perfect way to reach new audiences. You can target audiences in new ways that you were never able to do with traditional forms of media. And one of the things that I love about social media is the fact that you can gain valuable insights. So when I look at MTV Exit's Facebook audience, for example, I know their interests, I know their age, I know what school they went to, I know what language they speak, and it's these insights that really help us shape our content and make our content as targeted as possible. We also, at MTV Exit, we optimize social media offline with online. And a great example of this is when our youth in the Philippines created an on-the-ground photo booth, along with our anti-trafficking messaging, in order to engage people on the issue. So we incentivized these youth on the ground to upload their photographs to our Facebook page. And the results were incredible. Just from this small, low-cost event, we saw a reach of over 39,000 on our Facebook page. Also, a 21 increase in likes, and over 1,000 conversations were around this youth-led activity. And it's these conversations that really impact change. It's conversations that people who attended this photo booth will take online and have with people from school, will have with fellow friends, and it's these conversations that continue the message of human trafficking online. So I'd like to focus on a number of social media channels that we used here at MTV Exit. But before I go into too much detail, I'd like to just look at a few advocacy fundamentals. So before you begin any kind of social media campaign, it's key to get your goals in place. So to know exactly what you want from the campaign. Do you want to increase your reach? Do you want to increase likes? Do you want to increase sign-ups or people participating in a survey, for example? And social media is so saturated right now. Just think about how many people are fighting for your attention on Facebook or Twitter. So think about how you're going to capture the attention of your audience. So whether that's creating compelling content that sticks, or thinking about your messaging. And also your calls to action. So what do you want people to do? Make it super obvious. People just don't read things in the online space properly. They need to be told exactly what you want them to do. So if you want them to click on a link, if you want them to share something, just make it very obvious. And also choosing the right channel is vital. Everyone says that the Twitter and Facebook are the most important channels. And they are to a certain extent, but it's good to research your audience and make sure that they're using your chosen channels. So at MTV Exit, Twitter is a super important channel for us in terms of reaching out and engaging with our audiences. So I just want to revert back to the pop quiz for a second, because I want to keep this fun and interesting, and I also want to test your knowledge. So let's see. Which country in Asia has the highest Twitter usage? So again, using our hashtag CSESAsia 2014, I want to see some answers. So is it A, Thailand, B, Vietnam, C, Indonesia, or D, Cambodia? So which country do you think has the highest Twitter usage? Okay, well, I hope you all got that right. The answer is C, Indonesia. I'd like to invite you as well to send us links to your organization's Twitter page, and we'll happily follow those back from our account. So using the hashtag CSESAsia, please feel free to share your Twitter handle. So Twitter is a super important monitoring tool for organizations. It's a great way to see what people are talking about and what kind of conversations are happening within your sector. So it's by searching for relevant hashtags. We use the hashtag exit slavery quite often, and we search and we listen for conversations around this hashtag. It's super important to choose a hashtag that is one relevant to your industry, and two not too ambivalent. If you take a look at some of these hashtags, for example, the second one on this slide, it's not quite obvious what that means. It could be some kind of foreign language. It could mean solve or slave. It's quite hard to tell. So make sure you create a hashtag that is very specific to your industry. And it's really important to identify influential people in your audience. So at MTV Exit, we use a tool called Follow-a-Wonk. And this is a great tool for identifying influential people within our community. So we can search for influential people who discuss the issue of human trafficking. And it's identifying these influencers who can really increase the reach of your content. So when we post a piece of content on the MTV Exit feed, for example, it could be that it reaches 10,000 people. But if that is shared by one of our top influencers who has over 25,000 followers, that could be another 20,000 reach. So it's this kind of snowball effect that really helps get our content out and increases our reach numbers. And once these influencers are uncovered, it's super important to nurture some relationship with them. And And by doing that, it's super important to not only ask them to share our content, but in return, we'll share their content. And this is a great way to establish and nurture relationships. And it's also, using those hashtags, such as, for us, it's human trafficking or hashtag slavery, for example. It's using those to search for conversations and to get involved in becoming, involved in these conversations to become influencers in our community. So there's a lot more that can be done on Twitter to make it effective for your campaign, but then there are also a lot of fails. You've probably seen the hashtag fail. A lot of people have adopted that recently. But yeah, so there are a lot of ways that you can mess up your Twitter campaign. Too many hashtags, hashtagging everything, hashtag I have, hashtag something, hashtag very, it's very spammy and it's very unappealing for your audience. Also, no one's going to search for the hashtag I have or hashtag very. So be very careful about how you use hashtags. And also be patient. Don't expect to set up a Twitter account and have hundreds of followers, within minutes. It takes a long time to nurture communities on Twitter, and it's all about quality, not quantity. So that's those are some best practices about Twitter. So now let's take a look at Facebook. And I've got another question for you guys. So again, going back to Twitter and using the hashtag CSESAsia, see if you can answer this following question. So how many times does the average person check their Facebook account daily? What do you think? Do you think it's A, 2 to 3, B, 10, C, 5, or D, every other day? I certainly know that the amount of times that I check my Facebook account is off the scale. So it's definitely way more than 10. I'd also be, along with your answer, I'd be quite interested to know how many times you check your Facebook account daily. And is it more than 10? Okay, well, the answer is actually 5. So I'll be surprised to see if people actually agree with that or not. I most certainly don't. So at MTV Exit, we use Facebook to build strong, lasting communities. We have a global Facebook page with over 195 likes, and we also have a number of niche targeted country pages. So this is our Thailand page, for example, and we use these pages as a way to push very specific targeted messaging to some of our core countries. Facebook allows us to gain really incredible insights from our audiences, and especially our targeted country pages. So we can see exactly how much reach our posts are getting, how much engagement. We can see how many likes we're getting on a weekly or monthly basis. And we can also see, visits to the page, visits to our website. And another really, really great part of this is just to be able to get really deep insights on these audiences. So, like I said earlier, we can get all sorts of demographic information, and this is really powerful in ensuring that we're continuously refining our social media processes. And what it all comes down to for us is producing great content. And we find that really beautiful imagery and videos works like super well for us. And the better the quality photograph, the further our reach goes. So again, a lot of people think that, they have their personal Facebook profile and they just sort of do with it whatever they like. But it's different from an organizational point of view. So here's just a few don'ts that you shouldn't do with Facebook. So be really careful with your opinions. It's fine for you to air your opinions on your personal account, but airing controversial opinions around such sensitive topics, like for us, human trafficking is very sensitive. So we have to be very careful with the content that we engage in and how we comment and receive posts. In a world where people expect answers to questions immediately, we have to be very on the ball with answering any kind of questions on our pages within at least 15 minutes. If someone shows some kind of interest in our cause, and we take like 5 days to respond to them, the chances are that they're going to just sort of drop off our page and go and find another human trafficking campaign to engage with. So it's super important to monitor conversations and to reply as quickly as possible. So I'd just like to talk you through a case study of ours. I'd like to talk you through our latest social media campaign, which was around our concert Live in Udon. So Live in Udon is a free concert which is actually coming up next week on the 24th of May, and it's a concert which is basically to educate young people about the dangers of human trafficking. We have a bunch of ASEAN artists performing, including the Huge, Body Slam, and Slot Machine, and Project EAR. And basically, when we set out to begin this campaign, like I said earlier, it's super important to have your goals established, so whether you've made any impact or not. So when we began the campaign, we wanted people to register for tickets for the concert. So we wanted to gather 10,000 registrations pre to the concert. So if you just take a look at some of these figures, we'll see that we got well over 10,000 email addresses. We managed to actually gather 15,000, and throughout the entire campaign, we managed to get our Facebook reach to exceed 400,000, and also had over 25,000 interactions with our content. So that includes retweets, likes, shares, and comments on our content. So how did we get these incredible numbers? Well, we ran a number of competitions to increase engagement with our Thailand page. The concert is based in the northeast region of Thailand. So we had a lot of work to do in terms of engaging people from that part of Thailand. So we thought we'd try a few competitions. This is a competition where we asked people to impersonate and take sort of group selfies of themselves impersonating the bands that were performing at the concert. So we got a lot of interest in this. We incentivized this competition. You could win some signed merchandise from the band, and there was also an opportunity to meet one of the bands backstage. So this was a great starting point. But we also created really compelling content. Our content team created some really great videos showcasing some of the bands. We had some really nice photographs of the bands with some quotes about the issue of human trafficking, and a lot of these got shared widely and went viral. But we also did a lot of outreach. When we were first told that the concert was going to be in Udon Thani, I had a little bit of a mini panic attack, because I just didn't see that there was any online communities based in the region, and that region isn't very well known for being internet savvy. So I spent a lot of time with my team researching community pages and blogs in the area, and we actually managed to get a whole bunch of good, solid, quite outdated community pages together. And we basically reached out to all of these pages and explained who we were and what the concert was about. And we asked them if they would mind sharing some of our messaging on their pages, and they were completely happy to help us and happy to work with us. And as a result, they really helped drive so many of those mentions that I spoke about earlier, so many likes and so many shares on our social media channels. This is just an example of, we actually asked the artists who were performing at the concert to do the same, and it was just we had a really great response. And we also use Facebook ads. Facebook ads are a really cost-effective way of targeting targeting the exact audiences that you're looking for. So we were able to target people between the ages of 18 and 30 who lived in Udon Thani and surrounding areas, and we were even able to target people who had liked some of the bands on Facebook. So we created these hyper-targeted ad campaigns, and this is again where we drove a lot of registrations for the concert. So it's my favorite part of any social media campaign is measuring the success. And well, I say success, not always successful, but I try. So for me, when I was monitoring the success of this campaign, reach was a really important number. The amount of people that saw our content, the amount of people that saw our messaging on social media channels was a really great story for us. Data captured, so we captured email addresses, names and ages, and bits of other information from people who'd interacted with our campaign and pre-registered for tickets. And this data is super important for follow-ups with attendees of the concert. Mentions online again is a great number to sort of look out to look at how many people are engaging with our campaign, and we use the hashtag live in Udon Thani, which we had some really nice results from. So how are we able to get all of these numbers and to get to where we wanted to be with that campaign? So like I mentioned earlier, we use a really great tool called Follower Wonk, which is a great tool for finding influencers. So we use this to identify who we should be reaching out to, who should be sharing our content. And I'll share a link to this tool on Twitter after the Hangout. Monitor is a great tool for tracking your hashtag success. So you can see who's using your hashtag, and you can jump in and you can have conversations with those people. Again, I'll share this with you afterwards. Facebook Insights, again, a great tool to get detailed data on your audience. And there's another really great tool which I'll share with you guys afterwards. That's called Like Analyzer, and that's a great auditing tool. So you can just pop your Facebook URL in there, and it will give you some really great tips for how you can brush up on your social media, on your Facebook page. So it will tell you that perhaps your timing is off, and perhaps you need to post your messages at 9 o'clock in the morning instead of 9 o'clock at night. And it will also give you information on how to be more engaging. Okay, well, we're almost at the end of the Hangout. I'd just like to ask you to share some of your challenges with us in using social media. We certainly see challenges every day working with social media in so many different countries in the Asia Pacific region, and we'd be quite interested to find out what challenges you face. So again, using the hashtag CSESAsia 2014, please feel free to let us know And if you can't think of anything off the top of your head right now, that's okay. We'd quite like to keep this hashtag going, for weeks and months to come. So whenever you feel like you want to input something, please go ahead and use that hashtag as much as possible.
It's all been added to that list. So it should be added to a CSCS Asia 2014 list.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so if there's any questions,
Sure. Would you like some questions now?
I'd like some questions.
Got a couple right here.
Okay, let's take a look.
Actually, how much time should an organization spend on social media per day?
Okay. Okay. So, question from @Shimmy: how much time should you spend on social media? Oh, sorry. How much time should an organization spend on social media per day? That comes down to a lot of factors. I think it depends on your goals. So, let's take that Livelihood on Tiny example. We wanted to achieve that goal of 10,000 registrations in a specific time period. And social media was the only channel that we felt appropriate to use in the online space to achieve that goal. So we had to put a lot of time into into all of those things, creating compelling content, engaging competitions, and so we were spending a big chunk of our time on the digital team. But so it all depends, and it depends on your organization's capacity. I know a lot of organizations maybe don't have a dedicated social media associate, so it definitely depends, but I'd say that it comes down to your goals.
Any problems reading my handwriting?
Slightly.
Yeah, so we have.
Okay, so sorry.
Amy Supandi.
Okay, so a question from Amy Supandi. How can you use social media to be more effective in social movements? And I think one thing which is key actually here is to drive on the ground audiences online. So think about how you can sustain relationships with on the ground activists and bring them online in order to encourage new activists. So think about the photo booth example that I shared earlier. Is a lot of the people or a lot of the youth actually who attended that event, weren't fully immersed in the MTV Exit campaign, and certainly weren't aware of the dangers of human trafficking. And it's from bringing all of those really great photographs online and seeing all the conversations that were created around it was really inspiring, and a lot of those youth that were engaged from that campaign went on to be involved in future roadshows and future youth-led events. Okay, any more questions, please?
Cool. We have a question from Maura BBAT USA, just came up, asking, how do you motivate partners to stay engaged on Twitter? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the easiest way to do that is there's a couple of ways to do that, but if there is some way that you can kind of incentivize your team to be engaged, this probably sounds really stupid, but in a previous organization, we used to actually we used to do like a monthly giveaway, and the people who had actually shared our content the most and used our hashtag for certain campaigns the most, would win things like cinema tickets and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's sort of getting everyone on the same page, and I think it goes back to like establishing your goals and getting everyone involved. So not just the social media team, but the whole organization, and saying like, come on, guys, we want to reach this goal. We want to reach this amount of likes on our Facebook page. So, and I think that like when everyone gets involved in like a combined effort, then I don't know. I kind of think that everyone gets a bit more excited than if you just sort of are like, can you like my page? But if you explain the full picture, if you explain like we really need to reach out to this amount of people, I think that would work quite well. Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, we've got tons of questions coming in.
Oh, we could just sit here all day. Maybe we will.
We have a tweet from Miss Emily Cholet
Ow.
asking, how often do you engage online with influencers?
It's actually a big part of our day. We tend to spend actually from 9:30 to 10:30 every morning. We kind of it's kind of like the bread and butter of our social media work, and it's something that we constantly need to do every single day. So so roughly an hour a day for us. But again, it depends on your capacity.
It's not always easy, is it, to get influencers to engage with your campaign?
It takes a lot of time.
Oh, sorry. So the question was, how often do you engage online with influencers?
Okay, I'm sorry for you guys who missed that question. The question was from E. Cholet, and it is, how often do you engage online with influencers? So question and answer in reverse there. I hope that answers your question, Cholet. Okay, we have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Another question from Lisa Shimitat at Shimley, and she asks, we want more quiz.
Okay. So we have another question, which is from L. Shimmy. He wants more quiz questions. Well, what I'll do after this hangout, I'll actually post some more questions on Twitter using the hashtag CSCSAsia, so you guys can continue engaging with me throughout the day.
Another question: how many times should you tweet or Facebook per day?
Okay, we just had another great question. How many times should you tweet or Facebook per day? I mean, again, this depends on your organization, but I will say that it's good to monitor your engagement every week. So keep a spreadsheet of your reach and your the amount of likes or retweets or comments that you get from your content. And I think from monitoring that, you'll be able to paint a picture of how often you should post. So if you're posting say 3 times a day, but your interaction levels are pretty small, and your reach is sort of declining week on week, then that's too much. So I think that it's all about sort of monitoring your current social media practices, and then refining them from there. But in terms of overall general best practice, between 1 and 3 Facebook posts is okay. And here at MTVX, so we try not to tweet general sort of like broadcast tweets more than 5 times a day, but that doesn't include interactions. So we can still, it's kind of all about quality as well. So you can have as many conversations as you like on Twitter. Okay, any more questions, Adam?
Yeah, pouring in from T Streets. If you have limited time to engage online, is it better to focus all your efforts on one platform or another?
Okay, great question from T Streets. She asks, if you don't have very much time to engage online, is it better to focus on one platform or across multiple? I'd say focus. I think that's the key with social media. There's no point spreading yourself thin. So choose the channel which you think works best for you and which will give you the most amount of engagement, and stick to that. Like focus that small amount of time that you have, grow in that. Okay, maybe let's see. Let's take one more question.
One more question. This question is from USA Asia, and the question is a good one. What is the best time to engage in social media to reach audiences in Southeast Asia?
Okay, that's another great question. I wish Adam would write down the questions with me because I can't remember exactly what he just said. Okay, what is the best time to engage on social media to reach audiences in Southeast Asia? Again, this is all about, I think the key for all of these questions is to look at your insights. So one thing that's quite interesting for us at MTV Exit is that the timings of the time that we send posts, like the best time for us to send changes on like a month or bi-monthly or bi-monthly. So it could be that like 9 a.m. is a good time for us to send 1 month, and then suddenly people start shifting the time that they're online. So I think it's all about just think about who your audience are, and let's say, for example, your audience are between the ages of 30 and 50. They're more likely to be online sort of after work. If your audience are teenagers, maybe between the ages of like 12 and 17, perhaps the time that they're more likely to be online is during lunchtime, or before or after school. So I think it's all about just monitoring your insights and just find that's probably the best way for you to find out when the best time for you to post is. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to continue with Adam answering questions on Twitter. It would be great if we could keep this hashtag alive for as long as possible. So please continue tweeting questions, comments, and remember, I'd like to know what your challenges are as well in using social media. And it would be great as well if you would all like to share your Twitter and Facebook pages with us. We will go ahead and like them from the main MTV site. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on Twitter. Take care.